are Fusion Haa.
We are back. And like I said, I'm super excited to get this episode kicked off. Without further ado, let me introduce my next guest. You guys got a 2-for-1 today. Like I said, I have these every once in a while. 2 guests for the price of 1. Not that I'm charging, but 2 guests for the price of 1. It's going to be fun. My next guest grew up in Houston, Texas, and they met in high school. Jeremy actually approached Chadrick about doing the podcast, but he was reluctant at first. One day they were at GameStop and were having a debate and eventually noticed that the customers were all enthralled with their conversation. The same thing happened at an anime convention. That's when they realized people gravitated to their conversation, and that's when they realized they could do this and began recording their podcast, Fusion Haa. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guests and friends, Jeremy and Chadrick.
So off-center. Wait, hold on. Go this way? Oh, wrong way. Hey, I got you. We got you.
We're students.
Yeah, all right. Perfect. How y'all doing, man? The camera went out. Apologize about that.
Hey, how's it going, Don?
Awesome. I've been super excited about having you guys on ever since we connected at Comicpalooza last year, and knew I had to have you guys on because you're just a bunch of characters. So I know we're going to have some fun having a good talk here. So I appreciate you, brothers.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Well, I have to say, Chadrick, why were you so reluctant at first for doing a podcast?
Oh man, really, it's just more of like, okay, like I didn't like the sound of my voice, so I'm like, ooh. You don't like the sound of my voice? Come on, man. We just started talking.
I don't like the sound of my I love the sound of Chadrick's voice. I was the same way. I don't like the sound of my voice now either. So
yeah. So I was like, man, I don't know if I want to hear myself talk. I don't know if I'm gonna have anything like worthwhile to talk about. But the more he kind of kept talking to me about it, is like we have these debates. I would call each other at work and things like that, and when we're hanging out, we have these spirited live debates that seem to draw people in. So like you were saying at the whole GameStop thing, we're sitting there debating about something and people just kind of like jumping in, and I'm just kind of looking around like, oh snaps, these people want to hear us talk. Like, wait, this is kind of what a podcast is. Wait a minute. My little inner monologue was saying that, and I was just like, man, like, so he asked me maybe like 2, maybe 3 times.
About 3 times.
About 3 times, and I was like, bro, I think we can do this.
And hey, podcasts are huge now, so that was definitely a good move for sure. Jeremy, do you even remember what y'all were debating about at GameStop?
Oof, man, that could be between something within video games or anime. I don't know the specific details on like we do this. Like he says, we'll literally call each other like early in the morning, be like 5:45 in the morning as he getting driving to work, and I'm already at work, and we'll just be debating about whatever, either in life or anime or video games or philosophy in general. That's how we talk.
Oh man, well that, like I said, that's a good combination for a show for sure. Mr. KDJ, appreciate you, Kenny, for tuning in there. Kenny always has these, I can hardly get through his comments because he has these words that he likes to use. Awesomeness.
Oh, man.
Awesomeness in you piece for sharing your delectable, scrumptiously.
He got word gumbo up there.
Like I said, he's got some words. But I love Kenny because he supports the show, so I appreciate that, Kenny, for sure. Appreciate it. Love the sound of your voice. Well, I'm glad somebody does, because like I said,
See, at least you got
So
one.
you got fans, man. There you go.
I still don't like the sound of my voice, for sure. I'm curious, because in high school, you get these kind of cliques. Were there others that you found that were kind of interested in the same kind of things that you were interested in, as far as anime and comics and just the debates that y'all would get into about games and things?
You want to take that? Or you want me to take it?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So the answer to that, yes, we did kind of have like-minded people in that way, but liking anime, being into anime, video games, wrestling, the way that we were into it was very frowned upon at that time.
Yeah.
Very, very frowned upon. Like, you were considered a loser for liking anime and things like that. And we just did another podcast. We said anime is my bread and butter, and like, anime is my jam. Like, I can go on and on about it. So like,
I hear they're supposed to be doing a live action of Dragon Ball Z.
Please don't.
Oh, we already went through that.
We went through that Dragon Ball Evolution. Oh, we got that, and it was horrible. Don, so one day, so my now wife, I was trying to get her into anime. So that Dragon Ball Evolution movie came out. So I'm like, hey, babe, let's watch this movie, man. It's going to be good. Man, I put that movie on. I was so embarrassed. I'm just watching it like this.
It doesn't
like,
even
oh
sound,
my
it
God.
doesn't even sound like a good idea. You know how you hear movies that, man, I hope they don't make this into a live action. It's just not going to translate over well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just looking at me like, this is what you like? I'm like, I promise it's not always like this. I promise you it's good.
You say the anime is much, much better. Much better.
The anime is way better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. So how has it, I mean, since you've been doing Fusion Haa, well, initially, before that, where does the name Fusion Haa come from? Where did you get that name?
Oh, that's Chad again. I fill in this part at the beginning, and then Chad can fill in the rest. So, okay, that being said, I was thinking like, okay, what we could talk about? So it was like, okay, cool. We talk about. I was like, darn, topic, and I thought about say wrestling, anime, video games, and even music, and it was a gumball of stuff. Normally at podcasts have like certain topics or whatever, but we was want to have a nerd podcast, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I'm sometimes with names, just sometimes, but I couldn't come with nothing at this point. So I asked Chad here, and I'm like, Chad, man, give me something, man, give me something. And this when this guy come in.
So I sat there trying to think of names, and I'm drawing a big fat zero. Can't think of anything. So I'm like, okay, I know we're gonna be talking about anime. I'm like, I was like, we're gonna talk about anime, video games, wrestling, comics, all that stuff. I'm like, it's kind of like a fusion of things. I'm like, wait, fusion? Dragon Ball? Fusion Haa? Haa, because we're funny, at least we like to think so. Fusion Haa? And I called him, Jeremy, I got it.
So I tell you, it's amazing where you pull names from, I swear.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is good. And like I said, like I was saying before the show, we met last year at Comicpalooza.
Yes,
we all spoke on the panel of podcasters of color. Have now that you've been doing the show, have you seen more podcasters of color start to, I guess, crop up? Their shows start to become more popular. I mean, what's been your thought over the year that since we've met?
We work with them. Actually, you were one of them. The Phantom Nerds, we work with them. We just two times at this time we worked with the WBM podcast. Remember that panel we had last year?
Yeah,
those were the only Latinos.
Yeah,
and so we met those guys. We were like the best of friends. It seemed like. With the Phantom Nerds, I think when we seen them, I seen like their numbers on YouTube and everything like that, and just like because all they watch is just straight up anime.
Yeah,
and like it's like they're critiquing it but watching it live at the same time. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. So I see those guys moving on up.
I did have Charmaine on the show. You remember Charmaine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on. We had a great show. But it seems like I said, podcasting is really growing. A lot doing shows is really growing, and it seems like just like the conversation we had on the panel that more creators of color are starting to tell their own kind of stories. What's been kind of your takeaway from doing the show since you started it? Both of you.
I know my takeaway is kind of like the quote unquote mission statement of Fusion High is like to bring people together. Like we just want to bring like-minded people that kind of like all the same thing we like from all races, creeds, colors. Bring everyone together because it's life can be so divisive sometimes just with everything that's going on. But I tend to find that stuff I've always seen like anime, video games, wrestling, like they bring people together. So that's kind of my takeaway is that I've seen that happen throughout life, and since we've been doing this podcast, and we've interviewed so many different people from, like we interviewed an Americana singer named Charlie Cope. Um, his style of music is like the typical style of music, but we all got together over a Loki meme that I posted on Instagram. So that just shows like all these things bring us together. So that's the one thing that I've learned that continues to be true.
No. What about you, Jeremy?
Me, it's a good old time personally.
Yeah.
I just had fun with my best friend because we always been talking and just going on and on, just like things that we like or certain characters in like certain TV shows, video games, wrestlers. We've been doing this since we was in high school, and like he said, kind of like the same thing. Like I never knew. Well, first of all, it was supposed to be just him and myself, right?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, so technically Charlie Cope was our second person that we interviewed.
Yeah.
The first person we interviewed was Patrick Hickey Jr., now owner of a comic book company called Legacy Comics, right?
Yeah.
And before that, he was working for this other company, and so he's like showing us these comics he made. And like they're good reads actually.
Yeah, really.
And like the stuff he making now and him and his team, oh my god, it's a whole different level.
Phenomenal.
So
Wow.
and not just those guys, that we talk to, the other guys like on social media that be like, oh, hey, critique this, critique that, and like, and who if y'all watching this, hey, sorry, we ain't make it to everything. We're busy, we got our lives, we're fathers, we're husbands, we have our own families, like and like trust me, he's editing stuff, I'm editing stuff, I gotta do with my kids, he gotta do with his kids, he gotta do with his wife, I gotta do with my wife. So it's another job, but it's fun. I actually enjoy it.
No, I totally can relate to it because, like I said, I love and enjoy doing this show because it's just something that you're just passionate about and that you love talking about and connecting with people and kind of seeing how they got into it, where their passion stemmed from, and the journey that they're on in the industry.